government in Kwara and Niger States. With me is my brother co-sponsoring this, Senator Abdullah Aliyu Sabi, Niger North. The Senate notes that kidnapping and other forms of criminality is becoming a recurrent decimal in communities close to the Kainji Lake National Park, particularly Nanu, Nuku, Woro, Kale, in Kaima and Yashikira, and in Baruten local government of Kwara State, and some of parts of Borgu local government in Niger State. This has led to people living in perpetual fear of either being kidnapped and or killed by kidnappers suspected to be armed bandits. Further note that Kainji Lake National Park covers an area of about 5,341 square kilometers with deep forest vegetation. This park, which is reserved for tourism, is becoming fortified in harboring bandits and other forms of criminals. The Senate also knows that the park rangers meant to man this park will no longer protect the forest reserve as they have lost control of the park to terrorists. Worried that people living in these communities are predominantly farmers and their means of livelihood is threatened by the activities of these criminals, as many are leaving their villages and farms to seek refuge in the town that will soon be threatened as well if nothing is done about the insecurity situation. Aware that the first incident occurred in year 2008, which led to the death of several local vigilante group members in an attempt to dislodge these criminals from the Kainji Lake National Park. Also aware that there is a forward operating base, FOB, established immediately after these first attacks and subsequent approval for the establishment of military barracks in the local government. But these attacks keeps on happening with reckless abandon. And cognizant that in this year 2022 alone, several cases of kidnapping were reported in villages like Nanu, Nuku, Woro, and so on, with several people reported dead. Others who returned were released after payment of millions of naira as ransom. The Senate accordingly resolved to 1. Mandate the Committee on Defense, Finance, and National Planning to jointly interface with the Ministry of Defense to determine the status of the establishment of the Army Barracks in Kaima. 2. Urge the military authorities to carry out a comprehensive onslaught on bandits and other criminals within Kainji Lake National Park, especially Kaima, Karunji, Iyashikira in Baruten local government, and Wawa and Babana areas in Niger State. And 3, urge National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to send relief materials to victims in these affected communities. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Distinguished Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, Deputy Chief Whip.
Like we all know, the ISWAP, which is spreading across the West African coast, is actually also partly behind what we are reporting here because of the international boundary we have with Benin Republic. Incidentally, Borgu is in both Nigeria and in Benin Republic. And so it's easy for us within the context of our local relationship to understand some of the dynamics happening. And the areas mentioned, which is in Baruten and Kaima local government in Kwara State, Borgu in Niger State, is all sharing the very large Kainji Lake National Park. And of course, the challenge can be very, very serious if allowed to settle in. And that is why it's important that this particular motion be looked into very critically. Mr. President, what is complicating this issue also is the fact that the 65-kilometer road between New Busa and Kaima has not received adequate funding. and the road is terrible, making it much more easy for those who are traveling along that route to fall prey to the bandits. And most of the communities around there find it very difficult to move around. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, like he has said, what is required is a joint action. Because earlier on, there was an action by the military and other security forces around Babana axis. And after the terrorists were dislodged, of course, they decided to spread to other areas. Hence, what we are witnessing mostly in Kaima local government and part of Baruten local government. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, maybe when we come to look at the prayers, we will look at one or two additions to make. But let me say and put it very clear that the danger is very serious. The international dimension is there, and our location is somewhat, obscured, so to say, because the roads leading to that area are all very bad, making it much more difficult for certain things to be done. And so I want to appeal that this issue be looked into, and when we come to the prayers, let us urge that the security formation or the security agencies will take all of these issues very seriously. The forward operation base that they are putting on board is not receiving the kind of attention or funding that is supposed to. And I believe we need to be proactive on this. That has been mentioned in the motion, in the prayers to the motion. But what is important is that it must be something done comprehensively. The authorities in Kwara and Niger, particularly within the ambit of the military, they must actually take joint action. Otherwise, any onslaught in one direction will definitely leave the other direction more or less open to these same terrorists. With these few comments, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I urge that you support the prayers, and even additional prayers will be given as far as this motion is concerned. Thank you.
Senator Baruten Jibrin.
I represent Kano North in this August Senate. Mr. President, I stand to add my voice to the call by the sponsor of this motion in respect to the intendment of the motion, and also commend the sponsor of this motion. Mr. President, this park is supposed to be one of our national treasures, a foremost tourism destination, a foremost tourism attraction. It's supposed to have been secured by the full complement of our security system in this country. I was in the area some months ago when I was in the entourage of Mr. Senate President when we visited Kaima. I saw a beautiful land, a beautiful area. But I'm surprised that instead of securing this wonderful area, wonderful land, we've allowed it to be occupied by terrorists. This is something that we need to stand and make sure that we restore the beauty of this park or the entire area. Therefore, what you need to do is to make sure that all the security agencies that are supposed to bring peace to bear, that are supposed to bring security to bear in this wonderful land, should be deployed to make sure that they restore security and peace in this area. Not only that, I saw how bad the road leading from Ilorin to Kaima, that road needs to be attended to. We should do all we can to support the people of this area. It's a wonderful land. It's somewhere we need to be proud of. It is a duty on our part as a Senate to make sure that we do all within our powers to make sure that that road is constructed and security is brought to this area to make sure that this wonderful tourist attraction is allowed to function for the benefit of the people of this country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Prior to urge the military authorities to carry out a comprehensive onslaught on bandits and other criminal elements within Kainji Lake National Park, especially Kaima, Karonzi, Yashikira, in Baruten local government, and Wawa and Babanna area in Niger State. Those in favor prior 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prior 3 urge National Emergency Management NEMA to send relief materials to victims in the affected communities. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.